Hey, what's going on, everybody? We want to welcome you once again back to Real Talk with Dominic Santana. Thank you. You could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but you are here with us. And man, we have yet another very, very special guest. I want to introduce you because this is his first interview ever, which as much as he's worked behind cameras and with talent and, you know, everything in the film world, he's never done an interview, and it just kind of blew my mind, and I didn't know that till this very moment. So please welcome to our show, Mr. Marquand Ragland.
What up, man? Thanks for having me.
No doubt. So why? Because I'm just finding this out. You've been doing this stuff for a while now. You've been working in the industry for a little while, and you're releasing movies and everything else, but not doing interviews. What?
I asked myself the same thing, man. You know,
Are you shy? Like what?
No,
Okay.
nobody has never like asked me. Like I was telling my girl this story earlier, and I was like, this is so dope. You know, like Dom asked me, you know, to be on the show to interview me, and I was so excited because I was like, you know, it was a couple years ago. I was working with somebody who has their own show, who has their own podcast. And I was filming them interview another filmmaker. You know what I'm saying? So it was like it was like a gut punch, man. Yeah. And I was like, why, am I not worthy enough? So I just chalked it up, hey, I'm gonna save my interview for the right time. Yeah. And here I am. So
yeah. Well, one thing about you, in full transparency for you guys watching and listening via podcast, Mark and I know each other, and we started a friendship via my cousin Rob, and then we found out Mark actually was my right-hand man, like literally, and I didn't even know it. So as fate would have it, we're talking when we have a meeting about some film stuff, and as fate would have it, he lets me know way back when one of my first gigs on One Tree Hill. Actually, the very first episode I ever did on One Tree Hill, on CW, and we were playing cards like on a riverboat, or the characters were playing cards on a riverboat, and we get into this big skirmish, whatever. Everybody's running around the boat, and it all starts over some cheating in the card game, and there's a little person. His name is Danny something. I feel so bad. He's a very popular actor who's been around for a long time. Yeah, and he's like, turn the card over. Well, I wasn't there for actually shooting the hand flipping the card over. I did it, but they just shot me standing doing it, and went back after I was done and got pulled Mark in to do it.
Yeah, that was literally the first time I had ever done extra work. And so I was standing there, and they just kept looking at me, and I'm like, "Why are they looking at me?" And so I thought
he's light skinned.
Yeah, but I thought I did something wrong, because in extra work they very specific.
Oh yeah.
They like, hey, walk down the hall, stop right there, turn left, and don't move.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, so I'm doing that, and I'm doing it over and over, and they had us do it like 10 times, and I'm like, all right, cool, but they just kept staring at me. I'm like, I must not be turning to the right, left. You know what I'm saying? So then they brought me back into this room, and I'm looking in this room, and I'm like, oh hell, like something ain't right. And so this dude, he's like, can I see your hand? And I'm like, okay, this some weird movie stuff, you know what I'm saying? Casting couch type stuff.
Right. I'm about to get a line.
Right. Like I'm
the
like,
hard way.
Okay. So he's like, yeah, we're gonna bump you up. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, we're gonna give you more money. I'm like, okay, more money, cool. Like what's happening? So he goes, let me put this ring on your hand. So I'm like, all right, so I'm getting proposed to? Like what's going on? So he gives me this ring, and it's like this big, like crazy looking gold ring with these nuggets, all of these diamonds all over it. And I'm looking at this thing like, dang, but it like rolls to the bottom of my finger. And so he's like, oh, your hand is kind of small. So he goes and he puts like this blue gunk on my hand, and then he puts the ring back on there, and then he's like, all right, the only thing we need you to do is we need you to flip a card. I'm like, that's it? Like, yeah. I'm like, how much am I gonna get? He's like, $150. $100, man. I was like, bro, I flipped like 30 cards for $150. So yeah, so we did that, man, and that was I'll never forget it. It was like right before Thanksgiving weekend, man, and that was a good, good
Did
little.
you know it was me? Like,
I
were
didn't.
you there where you saw the actors doing it? Oh,
I
okay.
didn't. I never knew it was you, and it was crazy because I knew of you,
Yeah.
like way back then. I mean, because I had watched like Dead Heist and all these other things, and like it's crazy. I know you don't remember. I seen you a million times,
Oh, really?
and I know you don't remember me, man. I even walked up to you and was like, "Yo, man, great job in Dead Heist," and you was like, "Appreciate it, my boy." And then I walked away or whatever, man. But I seen you like a million times, so like. It was weird because I actually finally got cast in One Tree Hill, and so I go and I'm looking for my episode, and then I was like cycling through the seasons, and I actually came across that season, and when I was watching it, I was like, oh, this the one where I flip my hand. I get to finally see who I'm,
my
whose hand
hand.
I'm flipping, right? And then in walks Dominic Santana. I'm like, oh snap, that's Dom.
See, like, how many years was in between that, or was it years, or? Like...
Yeah, it was years, man. It was after the show had come off the air
Oh,
and went
wow.
into syndication.
What?
So I was I think
That was
I had,
that was like it had to be like 6, 7, 8 years.
yeah yeah.
Damn,
It was,
so
it
you
was a
didn't
few
know that
years.
whole time.
I didn't know. I didn't know, man. I
Wow.
didn't like I said, man. I had seen you. I seen you around town. I seen you when you used to manage that club right there on Market Street. I forget the name of it. It like kind of sat back off of the street.
Oh, 609?
I think so.
Downtown or uptown?
No, it was in Midtown. It was geez, I forget where it is. Like where the fuzz shop is right there on Market Street. Well, yeah, it's over there. But I seen you there, and I spoke to you there, and you obviously didn't know who I was or whatever, man. It's just another person
You're
speaking.
like,
to
I'm
you.
your hand.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. I was like, he don't even
How
know.
do I tell this dude I'm your hand?
Right, like one day he gonna know.
Right, and that day came.
Yeah.
Us sitting, talking, having a meeting about film biz.
Yeah.
and talking about coming together and working on some things.
Yeah.
And so that was actually a really interesting connection.
Yeah.
And sorry, I meet so many people, especially, and now,
Yeah.
being
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
film, I meet so many people, and then when you're in front of the camera and you're the entertainer, that's what people see. So you guys are lucky. They don't see you guys. So if they get mad at the movie, it's weird. They don't blame y'all. They come to us like we made the movie.
Right.
And you're like, man, you messed that up. And you're like,
Right.
no, you need to go talk to Marquand. I didn't mess nothing up. And so that's the full transparency is we, actually do know Mark outside of this interview and whatnot. One thing he's not telling the truth about is I did previously ask him before to do an interview. Now, to his credit, he was busy, but so both times, as far as interviews, it was me.
Yeah.
Asking, and the reason why is because you are such an interesting filmmaker, and not even just you've done some really cool things, but just your whole, like us talking, because we've had many meetings, and every time we get together, and we'll be like, I got like an hour, and then it never fails. It's like 4 or 5 hours goes by,
Right.
and so we have in-depth conversations about film business, life, and everything else. And how it all intermingles. And so I was like, man, Mark would be a great interview with especially where you're at currently in your career, what you've experienced, and then, what your plans are, because then we get to take this interview and later come back and do another one and be like, man, do you remember, what things were at that time?
Yeah.
So, but the main thing, the important thing to me is, it's real talk, REEL. So it's related to film, but it's, play on words with just having real talk, real conversation.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, especially with like mainstream media and, just outlets, who do interviews and, celebrity interviews and people in the business interviews, they just want to talk about your work, what you've done, what you're going to do, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in what makes you tick.
Yeah.
What makes
That's
you,
cool.
I want to know what makes, and we'll get into your projects as well.
Yeah.
But I want to know more about your journey, because one of the biggest inspirations to do this show for me was because I'm a working actor. I'm not, no shade to anybody, but there's a lot of podcasters out there who they used to be working actors, or they used to be, popular in hip hop, or they used to be they had some other job or some other gig, and they just kind of regained ground and found their way jumping into podcasts because they're still interesting people.
Yeah.
And but in my case, I'm still currently a working actor, a popular actor, also a director, writer, screenwriter and producer. So I'm busy enough, but I was like, man, I don't want to just do the typical stuff because as an actor, I have a show, season 3 of Hightown coming. So I'm still active,
which I'm looking forward to.
Oh, thank you!
I can't wait to.
It's gonna be. It's gonna be insane.
Yeah,
it's gonna. I remember filming it like.
Yeah, you gonna give me any spoilers?
Any there's credits.
Okay.
Come on, man. We signed them NDAs.
Yeah.
That's all I need is to be sit here like, and get that lawsuit coming in.
Right.
You like talking on podcasts about the plot points, huh?
Right. You're gonna be looking at me. I'm like, I ain't got no money, man.
But people watching, I want upcoming actors who are already working, upcoming producers, filmmakers. In your case today, being that we're both filmmakers and you're definitely very active in what you do, there's upcoming filmmakers who will watch this and be like, okay, that's cool about your projects, man, but tell me, what was the journey? How did you get there? Or what inspires you, et cetera? So let's start off with first, where are you from originally?
I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. Originally.
Oh, God.
No, man, you can't don't do me like that. No.
East St. Louis or
regular St. Louis? You know what I'm saying? Like regular. I'm from.
I said regular St. Louis.
Regular from Central West End.
I'm just kidding. Shout out to East St. Louis. But y'all know how y'all get down. I know people from out that way.
Listen, man, I know. Nobody from St. Louis goes to East St. Louis, but they know that. They got their own little country over there. So.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So you're from St. Louis.
Yeah.
Born and raised. Mm-hmm. What was life like growing up in St. Louis?
Man, it was great, man. I was an athlete. I played 3 sports. Had a lot of friends, had a really good friend group. Shout out to Pattonville Pirates. Go Pirates.
Is that the high school you went to?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. School of the Stars, man. It was a regular upbringing, man. I never really, saw myself doing anything outside of sports, anything like that, man. I was just a regular kid, man.
You were at that time. Were you one of those guys who were like you enjoyed sports? Or like that was your dream?
That was my dream. Like
what sport?
I played basketball, but I was better at football, but I was great at baseball. So, you
really got a baseball player kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah,
And that's not I don't mean it negatively.
Nah, man.
It's just you too chill to be crazy about basketball or football.
I actually love basketball. Basketball is actually my sport that I prefer. I wish I was talented enough to go to the NBA.
6'10".
Yeah, right. But I ended up just really being good at baseball. And there was 2 guys on my team. Both of them went pro. Mm-hmm. Farm league stuff and stuff like that. I think one actually made the California Angels, and I was better than both of those guys. But I was just so focused on basketball and other stuff. So I wasn't that talented, but hey, it is what it is. But then I was like, okay, if I don't make it in an actual sport, my actual goal was to be a sports analyst.
Really?
So yeah, man. So I took all these communication classes and all these different classes that centered around actually being more articulate and things like that. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna, that's gonna be my career. And it wasn't in the cards for me, man.
So what happened though? How'd you get derailed? Because it sounded like you had a pretty full plan.
Yeah. So I think I was just too nice, man. And I'm not Stephen A. Smith. No offense, Stephen. You're great, but
I've sent shade, Steve.
No offense, Steve.
Got some shade going on, Steve. Got Skip Bayless over here, Steve.
Right. But no, so I went off to college for a little bit. I went to the University of Missouri, and I played a semester of ball, and I just quit. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't what I wanted to.
Or
quit
college?
Ball. Yeah, quit ball in college. you know,
You put them both together.
yeah, like I wasn't a superstar
Mm-hmm.
like I was in high school, and you know, people was, you know, I mean, in high school, you know, everything was easy, it was handed to you,
Yeah.
and then in college, you actually got to work for it.
Right.
So I was like, man, I'm not about to do this. And then like, dude, like my first day, I'm 160 pounds. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Little small cornerback. I walk into, you know, I'm you know, with the defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I walk into my room and I opened the door, and all I saw was the back of the biggest, blackest dude I ever seen in my life. And I was like, yo, my roommate gonna eat me. Like
Oh,
that's
this was your roommate.
yeah. And I was like, how is a dude that big? He was 6'8", and he
Uh-huh.
was a linebacker, man. And you know, forgot the dude's name, man. It's been so many years. Obviously never made it pro. But you know, it was one of them things, man. I just never really truly
You were like,
felt
this
comfortable.
is not for me.
Yeah. I didn't feel comfortable. You know, I wasn't playing. You know, so I was just like, I was like, you know, whatever. So it's weird. This kind of segues into, you know, my next part of my journey. So I left school, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I was at home.
Wait. Before you get there, though, remember that point, though. I
Okay.
want to go back a little bit
Okay.
because I want to know who you are at your core. Or I want the audience
Okay.
to know who you are at your core. Home life in high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, both parents? Or
No. Shout out to my mom, Brenda Ragland, man. She really, like, we really struggled a lot, man.
Mhm.
As I was coming up, you know, she worked a lot of different jobs. You know, we moved around a lot. And you know, and I had my grandmother. My grandmother, she had a house, but you know, she had a house full of people and things like that, man. And you know, so you know, things was kind of you know, difficult, and you know what I'm saying, like I don't want to really like you know, create like a sob story for myself, because you know, we all got a story to tell, you know what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
you know, I feel like it's about how you come out of it.
So was she
So-
she was very influential on you?
Yeah,
Or?
yeah, man. Like my mother, honestly, was like one of the hardest working people that you know, that was ever in my life. You know, I seen her every day. She got up, she went to work. You know, I mean, days, man, we didn't have a car. You know, some days we didn't know how we were gonna eat. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
she got up, she went to work, she did everything she could for me.
That's the crazy thing right there that I used to hate to, because I have a similar story. You know, raised by my mother and my mom working 2 or 3 jobs, and here and there lights were still getting cut off.
Yeah.
Sometimes food was to the last minute. You know, mom come through. It's like, oh God, we're gonna eat. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like last minute. You know, ain't no telling. You know how hard she had to work just that day to figure it out, and then actually make sure we eat.
Yep.
And so you hear over time, no specific time, it's happened so much, how you know, different ones in the media or politicians or whatever try to make it like, oh, you know, these people are just lazy and these people are this, and you're looking going, yes, we're getting food stamps, but it's not because there's some lazy person just sitting out. She's literally working too hard, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, there, you know, we used to see our mother when we're, you know, it's about time for us to get ready, get up and go to, you know, start getting ready for school. Sometimes she'd come from her third shift, wake us up, get us ready, get us out the door, and then lay down. And then we come home to instructions because she's on job number, you know, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
You know, and that whole thing. So the impact, what kind of impact does that have on you, like just from that point that it instilled in you for the rest of your life, or something that came from your mom that even still to this day carries you daily?
I mean, I think it's what created my work ethic. It's what made me. It's what made me want to work harder. Like to me, it's not about a lot of money to me. It's about being successful. You know, I want my mom to see, like, you showed me how to work hard, how to, you know, be successful. You know, so so that's what it is for me. Like, cause I remember, man, we used to live in this lady's house, and this lady had like I want to say 3 floors, and we stayed on the 3rd floor. And on the 2nd floor, there was this man named Mr. Albert.
Mr. Albert.
Mr. Albert. And then there was a truck driver by the name of Art. And then there was another dude who stayed on the 3rd floor, and he was blind. And then on the 1st floor, it was Miss Vaughn. That was the lady's house. And I mean, this lady and my mom.
I mean, that sounds like a show in itself.
It was.
Mr. Albert, Arthur the driver, and Miss Vaughn the blind man.
Yeah. And I mean, and then this lady, she would give us hell sometimes. Like sometimes, like it was only one way in, one way out. Mm-hmm. She wouldn't give us a key to the house. So if we came home late, some days she wouldn't even open the door.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So like we would have to go and find somewhere to sleep, or kind of go sit in the car or whatever. And my grandmother, she stayed across the street, and some days we would have to go stay with her. So we had to make sure that we was in the house by a certain time. And yeah, man. I mean, but it's all good, man, because we had some good days. I'm gonna tell you, like the most fondest memory I would have, man, is when me and my mom on Friday nights, Saturday nights, we go to Blockbuster. I bet you remember Blockbuster.
Hell yeah.
And you got to get there.
Blockbuster shaped me into going into this business.
Yeah, exactly. And so we would get there, and I remember, man, I used to be like, Ma, we got to get there. So I would want her to get off work, so she would get off work early on Fridays, because if you get there too late, the new movie that came out will be gone.
Everybody
done took it.
Friday's the worst night because everyone's waiting on that new release.
Yep. As soon as the new release comes, you got to go during work to get it. Yeah.
So you young whippersnappers, y'all don't know about the days. You don't know about the hard times.
It's the hard times.
You know what I mean? You don't know. You don't know. Shout out to Marlon Wayans. I just stole his joke, But yeah, no, that's a very valid point. We didn't have Netflix. You couldn't just get on the TV and do all, search through all the streaming services and see the newest thing and all of that. Nah, it was like you had to wait until that movie would be in theaters. Yeah. And then you had to wait for it to come to VHS at damn Blockbuster Video.
Yeah. And it would go to premium TV first.
Yeah, it would go to premium TV first.
And nobody had premium.
And if you don't have cable, especially premium cable, you just wait. Like the movie might have came out 4 or 5 months ago in theaters, and then you got to wait for it to make its run on premium cable, and then come Friday, like you said, don't be late.
Don't be late,
because you have to wait till next week to get it.
Or at least the heat come off of that movie. Because sometimes that movie stay popular for 3 weeks. Yeah. And if you ain't there, you ain't seeing it. Yeah. And by the time you got to school on Monday, everybody done seen it. So everybody talking about it. There's nothing but spoilers on Monday. Yeah, and you're like, man, I ain't get a chance to see it.
But you know what I think too? And I mean I don't know if this is your opinion on it, but my opinion, it made having to see movies like that, it made it 10 times more special.
It did.
Because it was the anticipation, the wait. Yeah. You see the commercial. When it's going to theaters, you constantly see the commercials. At that time, commercials was just on TV. Yeah. So you're constantly seeing the commercials. You're like, oh, I want to see that so bad, but you can't afford to go. Yep. So now you're waiting months. It's like months of buildup. And then you go to get it. And it's like, it's rented out for, 5 days straight. Yeah. And you're like, oh, God, do you hate me? Yeah. And then you finally get it, and it's just like, oh. Yeah. Like, it might not even have really been good.
But it made
to
it good.
You, it was like, damn, all this waiting, I'm making it good in my mind.
Yeah. And it was an investment. You know what I'm saying? Like an investment of time. And and he brought the family together and things like that, man. So I miss those days. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I love making film. But to me, the process of actually watching the film was way more special back then.
Now, would you say that correlates to those moments? Because I've talked in other interviews where I relate. Because it's funny, because we've had many conversations, but we never talked about that stuff. Never went that far back. And we have that similarity in common where for us, it was one of two things. It was either we rented, we were able to rent some VHSs from, because my mom was a big movie buff. Yeah. So my mom used to literally have a closet
full of
just VHSs stacked up. You know what I mean? From old, she put me on the old movies. Audrey Hepburn. I know of that because of my mother. Wow. She loved old classic movies. Yeah. She loved horror. Yeah. This is the only person I knew could fall asleep to It. I'm talking about the original It. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it was. It's one of my most traumatic memories. Is my mom would come home from her third shift or second shift and put on It. I have no idea why. My mother had a bed and everything, but for some reason she loved to sleep on the couch, and so she would come and lay on the couch, put on It, which wasn't far from our bedroom. And so imagine you're 9 years old waking up hearing It's voice at 2 a.m. And then my mom's dead asleep, and we know not to wake her. Yeah. So it's like It is just on, and you just covering up like, oh, God.
It's
but
coming for me.
right. But my point is, my mom would make it special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My mom would, because she worked so much, it was usually like probably Sunday. If we couldn't go to the movies, then she'd rent she rent something every week. And we knew that was our special time. And because she worked so much, we didn't get as much time with my mom as we would have liked. You know, kids, they want to be around you all day,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so we didn't get that. So those times were just, not only are we getting to watch a new movie and the thing we've been waiting to see, but then my mom is able to sit down and just spend a couple hours straight with us.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, that was like the time she would cook, like
Oh,
really cook.
Yeah.
And she'd buy ice cream and it was an event.
Yeah.
And we watched, she usually get 2 to 3 movies.
Yep.
And we'd watch,
Like
one or two, and we go to bed and then she either watch the rest or we watch it the next day.
Yeah.
But that and going to the movies. Going to the movies for us was like Disney World.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I can only imagine now how much and how long it took my mom to save up to take us, 3 kids and her, and go to the movies, and she would get snacks and the whole nine. Have some food in the purse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And the whole nine. And that was just like mind-boggling to us to be in those theaters and then be there with my mom and all of us sharing that moment together. That's the magic that shaped me into, I was like, I gotta be a part of this.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
I want to make people feel what we felt.
Yeah.
That's why I'm in this. You know what I mean? And would you say that correlates the same to you?
I wasn't thinking about film that early. It was weird because my mom, when I was a kid, she used to always say, I want to put you in modeling. And I was, yeah.
Was your mom blind too?
No, man.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
I was a lot better looking. And a lot thinner too, but we ain't gonna say.
We all were.
But she used to always say that to me, and I used to be like, "Okay, that's cool," but I never thought nothing of it. And then, I always remembered that I used to love to act. Like I would get in front of my cousins, and I would just like do like little shows and stuff like that. And everybody used to laugh at me. And my mom, I remember she used to always say how much I love to act. So when I went to school. I actually would take like drama courses, and I would take like as many drama courses as I could because I just wanted, because I wanted to be on stage.
Those were all the fine weird girls was there.
Well, we ain't had nothing.
So those of y'all that went to school with him and had the class with him, he just let you know what it really was.
Listen, they know what it was.
Oh, that bad, huh?
It
They're like, no, we knew.
Right. Like, so when you was in drama class, you really meant it. Because it wasn't no pretty girls in there.
Damn.
For real, but nah, it was cool, man. But I used to always take drama, man. I used to really enjoy it. I used to really enjoy being on stage, and then when we would go to church, I used to always volunteer for like the church plays, no matter what role it was, and I was, and I was just like always a little performer. So I was like, I never really thought about film. You know what I'm saying? Because like, excuse me, I was
coming from where we come from. That's not a realistic.
It's not a,
goal.
And that was the next point I was going to touch on because the school I went to, Pattonville, was in the suburbs, and so I actually started out at the school called Sumner, and my first week of school, somebody got stabbed, like literally, like the dude got like murdered in the school.
Oh, like dead?
Yeah, like on some real stuff, and like somebody let him in, and then like the next week,
high school or junior high?
High school.
Oh, at least it wasn't junior high. I was like,
I don't want to go to school with nobody getting murdered. But.
I mean, no, I've been there. We had a murder at my school.
Yeah, and then like my second week of school, somebody got murdered on the way to school. So like my mom was like, nah, I gotta get you out of there. So I started going to the school. Like my mom found this program that gave inner city kids equal opportunity to go to suburban schools.
Shout out to moms, man.
Yeah, man.
Because that type of like, because you're an adult now, so like when you're working all day, you're tired.
Yeah,
and then you got to go do this extra shit to make sure this kid has a better chance.
And then there wasn't no internet back then. So you had
to physically go.
You had to go find that information. Like you had to dig through paperwork to get that information.
Yeah.
So this school, kind of really opened me up to like possibilities of what's out there, because it was the first school I ever went to that had a movie studio in the
Oh,
school.
really?
Like, I'm talking about cameras and
What?
switchboards, everything.
Oh, we ain't had
Yeah,
that.
no.
we
That's
didn't
what
have, we
I'm
didn't have none
saying.
of that.
That's what I'm saying. In my first school, we barely had books. Like, we had to share books. Like, like, hey, you take the book today, I'm gonna take the book tomorrow, and we gonna collab homework.
Was it a diverse school?
When the inner city kids came, yeah. So and there, and honestly, man, I can't really remember, any real diversity. Not diversity, but separation in the school. Like, everybody kind of mingled with everybody.
That's
So
good.
yeah, so it was a really good school, man. I mean, I still, some of my best friends are still from that school and things like that, man. But yeah, that school really opened me up. But again, at that time, like, people weren't filmmakers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like people that went to Hollywood or was in Hollywood, somebody else did that. So
Yeah.
it was always somebody need to make a movie about this. You know what I'm saying? It was we never thought about that. So the only thing that I could think of was, like, at first I wanted to, like, I think I wanted to, like, be an investment banker or something like that. And then I realized, like, yeah, that's a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I was like, and it was boring. So I was like, man, I don't
Yeah,
wanna do it.
I really love psychology, and I was like, I'm not gonna be a psychologist.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm sorry, 8 years?
Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
that ain't for me, man.
Yeah.
That ain't for me.
Yeah. So you want to, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, as a kid, you bounce around and stuff, man. But
Yeah. So let's jump back up to where you were previously.
okay.
You, the roommate with the big back made you want to quit college.
Yeah. It was.
I'm
just
joking.
I
I don't think the big back is the reason.
that was a contributing factor. So, like,
Was he mean? Like what?
No, he was cool, man. He was cool. Like,
You felt like prison? Like you know what time it is? You in here? Like, hey, brother, this is college, man.
You gonna eat your cornbread?
This ain't Alcatraz, brother.
Yeah, nah. It was
Shout
cool,
out to Big
man.
Back.
Right. Whatever your name was, man. Like, yo.
Damn, you didn't even know his name.
I can't even remember his name, man. Because he was my roommate for such a short time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't. I
You
really
walked
didn't
in that door, and you was like, "All right, I'm out of here."
Yeah, but you
That was a
get
big
home.
dude.
Yeah, you get homesick and stuff, man. So I was like, man, I don't really want to. You know what I'm saying? I ain't really want to be there. I just really did not want to be there. And
You got to feel it. You got to feel it, because a lot of people would tell you, they teach us, you got to go to college. you know, if you're gonna have a decent life. And now we're finding out there's multiple ways to success, and you need to find the one that's how your mind works and your attributes where you can thrive in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and upon leaving college, that's what made me, that's what kind of set me on this journey. Because I was at my high school. I was talking to my high school principal, and I was walking down the hallway, and this Marine Corps recruiter just so happened to be there. And I was walking with a couple of my friends, and he was like, "Hey, guys, come here." And we look back, right? We see this Marine, so we all took off running. And he literally chased us around the school.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like, literally. And so he caught up with him. I'll never forget him. Shout out Sergeant Plummer.
I got a job to do. Y'all ain't letting me do it.
Yeah. So he finally catches. He actually just caught me, and, like, I think I was, like, walking down the hall. He just so happened to bam pop out. So I'm like, so he's like, "Hey, man, come talk to me," and something. And so he was like, literally that day, I was like, "Yeah, man, I ain't got nothing to do. I'll come talk to you." But in the back of my brain, I'm like, I'm never going to the Marine Corps. Like, this is something I will never do. And so we get to the office, and he's sitting down, and so he has me take, like, this sort of aptitude test or whatever, and I aced the test. So he was like, "Oh, wow, okay." So he gives me another test.
Was it the ASVAB?
No. The ASVAB is when you go downtown or to the MEPS. And then so he gave me another
I'm
test.
from Fayetteville, North Carolina, baby. They bring them tests right to the school.
They be like,
You don't even know why I'm testing. You just testing.
Right.
What's the ASVAB?
Right. Like, that was another thing. I didn't even know what
Shout
the
out to
ASVAB
Fort
was.
Bragg.
Man,
They get them right early.
Yeah, they be on them.
I have to take this?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the
Yeah,
ASVAB?
like if you don't
going
take it,
to
you're
the
going to jail.
military. You're going to the military, brother.
Yeah, right, man.
It scored good.
Yeah. But I didn't know that's he was probing me. So he sits down. He was like, "So what do you think about the military?" I was like, "I think I ain't never going." So I was like,
Why were you so opposed to it initially?
it was one of them things, man. Like I think everybody, you think about the military and you just think, your life is over. Like, I mean, I don't know. Everybody that I knew was like, no, I ain't never going to the military. Like,
Right.
so I was just like kind of following suit, and how he got me though was he showed me somebody horseback riding. And literally, that was the trigger because I always wanted to
Horseback
go
riding?
horseback riding.
Had you ever ridden a horse?
No, I always wanted to go.
So this man got you to go into the U.S. Marine Corps by showing you somebody ride a horse, something you've never done.
Yeah.
You know, you could have just went to like a stable and
Man,
paid
listen,
a couple dollars.
I'm from the inner city of St. Louis. Ain't no horses other than the police downtown. Like I had never even seen the closest I've ever seen a horse was like the police downtown, or when we went to the baseball game and you see them at the Cardinal. But I had never like really seen a horse. At that point I had never seen the beach. I had never seen anything. So he showed me people horseback riding on the beach. So I was like,
Got
what?
him.
Yeah. So I was like, what? This the Marine Corps? And then so he shows me he's like people buying cars. Now mind you, I'm broke. Yeah. So he's showing me people buying cars and all this stuff. And then like it just so happened that 2 Marines had just came back from boot camp. And he pulled out this money, this wad of money. It was like, yeah, if you want to have money like this, you got to come to the Marine Corps, And so I'm all excited now. I'm like,
sounds
what?
wonderful now.
I'm like, where do I sign?
Ride horses, get paid, like on the beach.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
He ain't show you none of the warring and
He ain't show me none
fighting and dodging bullets.
He ain't show me none of what really happened. I ain't see none of that. Yeah. So then he was like, yeah, man, and he was like, I think you should sign up for infantry. And he was like,
God.
yeah. He was like, yeah, you're never gonna you're never gonna be in war or anything, or never nothing's
Well,
ever gonna happen.
now we know how you did on that test.
How I really did, right? He was gassing, right?
Right.
He went in there, 100%. Oh yeah, you're going.
Like, yeah, 100% infantry.
Right. Right, man. So yeah, man. I was literally with him, literally all day. So my mom, she was looking for me like the whole day. Mm-hmm. So what ended up happening was, he was like, man, I really want to put you in the Marine Corps like right now. He was like, just come downtown with me.
How old were you at this time?
I was 18, but I ain't know nothing.
This is gonna take you that day.
Yeah. And so I was so scared to say no. So I was like, all right, let's just go downtown.
Why were you scared to say no?
I don't know. I was
a uniform.
Yeah, or something.
You coming with me downtown? You got that? You gonna sign up? You going into the Corps, boy?
You're going right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we went downtown, and he was like, nah, you ain't signing up, nothing like that. He was like, I just want you to take the test. So I go in, I'm taking the ASVAB, and I don't know that I'm taking the ASVAB because he never explained to me like what the ASVAB was. So like literally on the ASVAB, hopefully I ain't spoiling it for some future military people, but they give you like 32 questions, right? Mm-hmm. And then they give you no lie, like 2 minutes and 50 seconds to answer 32 questions, and they asking you about parts of a tank, and I was like, what? Like, I don't know.
They don't know what your MOS gonna be.
Yeah. So they was asking me like all this stuff. So then I take the ASVAB, and he goes, okay, so I'm gonna put you up in a hotel for the night, and I'm gonna come back. So 24 hours goes by. We go back downtown.
Wait. Does your mom not know this yet?
Listen, my mom was livid. She was calling all over the city. Finally, I don't know how she tracked it down where I was with this sergeant.
Mama's gonna find out.
Right. But she tracked it down, and she found out I was with this sergeant. So literally, after I go and I actually got sworn in to the Marine Corps. And
that night?
The next day. The next day.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Nobody really knows this story, man. This is like the first
you
time
didn't think let me call somebody and like get somebody else's opinion.
I was just like I was just kind of going with the flow because at that night he put me in the van with it was like 18 other people in the van, and everybody was like talking about the military and all that stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm just gonna keep going with it. And at some point, I was in my brain, I was like, I'm gonna tell him no. I'm just gonna stop this. But every process, I just went with it. So we went downtown and we got sworn in.
Did you really have an idea of like what you were doing, like what you were getting into?
Yeah. At this point, I was like,
you knew you were going to be a soldier, right?
Yeah. At this point, I was like, all right, I'm well aware of, all right, now we're going to do this whole thing. So then like in the middle of the night, he comes and he knocks on my door and he's like, "Hey man, your mom's looking for you." Uh, and like to this day, I still don't know how she tracked me down. So I was like, okay. And so he was like, you are 18, so I can put you in the military, what I'm saying, without any legal consent or anything,
Yeah.
and without your parents or whatever. And I was like, yeah. So he was like, so he let me talk to my mom, and my mom was like, "Are you okay?" and everything. So she was cool. So I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'll be home tomorrow afternoon." So I go downtown, I get sworn in. So they're like, "Yeah, you can't, you can't, you're sworn into the military now. You can't do anything else. You're gonna get your ejection date, all this." So I was like, "All right, cool." And so I get home, and my mom, she gives me like the biggest hug, and I tell her everything that happened and everything. And so she was like, it's okay. I just wanted to know or whatever. But my mom took it on her. It was her mission to destroy that sergeant. Like
Put her
literally,
baby in the military without
yeah,
talking to her. Yeah.
yeah. So like literally, I'm telling you, no more than 2 weeks later, he got sent back to his unit because he was in that much trouble. My
Damn.
mom had called his commanding officer, called the she had got in contact with a general. And
Damn.
like yeah, like it was serious, man. And so he
That's
was
one thing
like,
about the military though that I did notice.
yeah,
There's one person they don't play with, his moms.
no,
Yeah.
they don't. They don't, not at all, man. And so yeah, so that was my adventure of getting into the actual military. And like once I got sworn in and everything, I kind of just came to the like at first I was like, nah, because like, I was asking people and they was like, well, you don't have to go. They tell you that, but you don't have to go. Like if they, your ejection date, just don't show up. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I was like, I had kind of came to the terms because like, over that summer, I was supposed to eject in September or something like that. I think it was September 11th. And so over the summer, like things just started getting like worse and worse progressively for us. And mind you, I'm 18. I don't really know what I'm going to do, and I'm getting ready to turn 19. So I don't really know what I'm going to do.
And
So
here you are with this situation where
yeah,
you could do something about it.
yeah, and that's the way I looked at it. And so I just went, and it was, to this
I
day,
mean,
it was
that's a good reason.
yeah, and it was the best decision I ever made. You know what I'm saying? Like it was, I would never. That's one decision I would never take back.
How long were you in the military?
5 years I was in the Marine Corps, and then I tried, no offense, Army. I tried to go into the National Guard, but y'all need to do some stuff, about. Listen, man, like I don't know, man. The hierarchy, I don't know, but something need to be worked out there. But yeah, I did 5 years in the Marine Corps. I actually got caught in stop loss. That's why I ended up doing 5 years. So I got sent to Iraq and all that good stuff.
So you got deployed to Iraq.
Yeah,
How was that experience? How long were you there, first of all?
I was only there for a year.
You
Well,
said
not
only
even
a
not
year.
even a
There's
full
no
year.
only at
Yeah,
war.
yeah.
I'm assuming this was like there was skirmishes going on.
Yeah. This
Okay.
was during the initial invasion. So
Okay, so you were part of. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I was
Yeah. There's no only. It's not even 2 weeks. You can't be like only 2 weeks. Like
yeah.
that's a life altering.
Yeah.
Situation.
Yeah, it was, man. It was. I mean, but I got through it, man. But beforehand, and the reason they kept me in is because beforehand, I had already had combat experience. I went to, I was in Kosovo, during that, when Yugoslavia had, well, not Yugoslavia, when the Serbian tanks had went into Kosovo. So I was in that, what I'm saying. So I was on the front lines there.
Oh wow.
I was in Viegas doing riot control. So
And where?
Viegas
What is that?
when, in Puerto Rico. I don't know if you
Oh
remember when those bombs went off in Puerto
no.
Rico. Yeah, so I think it was 99 or something like that, 2000. The Navy are actually bombs some of the islands in Puerto Rico. They actually use it for target practice. And
Oh
so,
my god.
yeah, so there are some people that still live on these islands and they refuse to leave. So the Navy actually accidentally bombed somebody's house and killed the man. So there was these huge riots in Puerto Rico. in Villegas.
I
And,
must have
yeah,
suppressed the hell out of that in Fayetteville because I don't remember
yeah,
ever hearing it. I'm gonna go look it up.
yeah. I was there. I went to the DMZ for a little while in 2000. It was a little light skirmishes here and there at the DMZ. Sometimes NVA take little pot shots, pow, pow, things like that.
No, what's the DMZ for people who don't know military speak?
The demilitarized zone.
Mm-hmm.
So North Korea and South Korea have this sort of imaginary line that neither country can come cross, or it's an act of war.
Mm-hmm.
So the United States is actually helping the South Korean guard the DMZ. So,
Got you.
Yeah.
So what was the worst thing you experienced in Iraq?
Man, just men dying. I mean I couldn't pinpoint like one true story. I mean, I think the worst thing that I've ever heard was we lost a tank over in Iraq where there was a bridge that was blown by our troops, and the tank flipped over, and we didn't have the necessary tools to flip the tank back over. So what it did, it created like a suction on top, and the men actually cooked to death. And
holy smokes!
Yeah, so that was
You told me a story. I'm trying to remember it. It's been a little while now, of an incident, something that you were in that happened. Do you remember what you did? Because we haven't talked about you in the military a lot.
Yeah.
There was a story of something crazy happening.
I don't know, man. I didn't been through. So, you're talking about when we were when I was sick, when I was flying into when we were flying into Kosovo, and we flew in under fire, and the helo was like swinging back and forth, and I got I got motion sickness, and we landed under fire, and like my head was spinning when we got off of the, and so like Gunny and that everybody was just like grabbing me, and and they was just like flinging me around, and at the time I'm just a private, I was a PFC, so I don't know nothing. This was literally my first combat experience or anything, and we came in under fire. You know what I'm saying? It was light arms fire, but I mean still it was under fire, and we got control of the situation really quick, but it was just the fact that what I'm saying, we came in, what I'm saying, like it wasn't like Vietnam when they came in under hell of fire, but it was like
coming in anywhere under any fire.
Yeah,
it's a big major problem.
Yeah.
So you do 5 years in the military. You try to go to the National Guard. You end up not doing that. What's the next phase of your life post military?
Man, so I kind of faltered, man, a little bit, man. I wasn't doing anything with my life, man. It's crazy because the high point of my life was Madden. At that time, Madden. So that's when the NCAA had came out with the game where it was like My Player. That was like the first My Player game where and I'll never forget, I created a My Player, and I was playing for Florida State. And I remember I was like, oh man, this is so cool. And that honestly, my life was in such disarray that's the only thing that I could remember. Damn. To be totally honest, that was any real significance. Like I floated from job to job. I tried to do real estate. That didn't work out. I ended up like jumping in, doing some roofing.
Now, when this is happening, is film anywhere in the back of your mind, or you haven't yet been exposed to?
I haven't been exposed to it.
Okay.
And this actually segues into that. So like I had kind of, I kind of started getting in trouble, man. I had, caught some charges while I was fighting, and I actually ended up doing like a week in jail for fighting and stuff like that, man. So, it was just, I was just really, really, really bad. And I remember my old master sergeant, he was like, yo, you need to go to the VA and you need to talk to somebody. And he was like, because you whatever.
Spiraling.
Yeah. So I was like, man, I'm good. So I did that for a few years. And what really gave me my significant change was my girlfriend at the time got pregnant with my daughter. And I was like 27, and I was like, holy crap, now what am I going to do? And like at that time, like I just didn't want to have a kid. I was like, man, I don't even know how to have a kid.
You sound like me.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know how to take care of no kid. So she gets pregnant. She's like all excited. But at the same time, she was like cheating on me with this dude in the military. And he was right.
The irony.
Yeah. So he was gone overseas. So, like I guess we were trying to work things out while he was gone. And then when he came back, like it was just like, I don't know, like all of a sudden she just was full time with him. And she took my daughter and she was full time with him. But occasionally she would come stay at the house with me. So it was like this weird dynamic, right?
Yeah, it is a weird dynamic.
Yeah. So I was like, finally I was like, man, I got to change my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, it's gonna sound weird. And I really hope she never sees this or he never sees this. But when he was gone, he left her his car. Well, she used to let me use his car all the time. So I was driving his car around with these rims on it like it was mine. Like I had it and everything. So what really changed me, man, what really got me on this path of film is I went to the unemployment office because like I said, it was a lot of crap going on in my life. And I was literally trying to find a job, and I was like, I'm very spiritual, man. So I was like, God, what is it that you want me to do? Like, because at that time, man, I felt like I was good at nothing. I had no talents. The only thing I kept getting was jobs like in kitchens and stuff, and I hated those jobs. So I was like, God, what do you want me to do? Like, you need to tell me something, or whatever. And so literally on the screen, one of those ad pops up and it says, "Do you want to be an actor?" And that's what started me, literally that moment. And I was like, "Wow, yeah, I want to be an actor." And so, but I didn't click on it or anything.
So those ads actually do work sometimes.
They do, right? And so that day, I jumped in the dude's car and I drove to Wilmington and I went to Screen Gems and I signed up for extra work that day, man. And and I never looked back since. Never looked back. Yeah. So yeah, that was So how was acting?
What was that journey like?
It was fun and stressful at the same time. Like when I first started, it was extra work. So I was like, oh, this is cool, like and then so I'm like, but I see the other people talking. So how do I get there? Right. Like how do I learn how to how do I talk on camera? So I went. You remember at Screen Gems when you walk in, they had that office. The Finn Cannons had that office.
Yeah. Shout out to the Finn Cannons.
Yeah.
I still know them very well today.
Yeah, they're great people, man.
Yeah, they still cast me for stuff.
Yeah.
They were one of the first casting directors to start casting me and stuff. And all these years later now, they're still rocking. Yeah. So I still every so often get
They never gave me that privilege, but So yeah, man, we went to so I went and I got the little paper and I was like, yeah. So I literally I was so dedicated and I was so hungry. I called every single agent on that paper 5 times, like a piece. Like I emailed them, and they were like, you need headshots and you need this. So I couldn't afford headshots. So what I did was I went and one of my friends, he had this little camera. We went outside and we stood by a tree and took pictures. And so that's what I sent to all the agents. And all the agents was like, yeah, we don't, these aren't headshots, man. So, that was a really stressful journey, man. Like,
you didn't enjoy the journey of a beginning actor? How do you not have the most fun of your life?
Right.
making hardly no money and struggling.
Right. And then everybody wants you to work for free. And then yeah.
Copy and credit.
Yeah. And then your agent, when you finally get one, they say, "Hey, can you be in Atlanta by tomorrow?"
Yeah.
You're like, "I gotta work."
Right.
And they're like, "Well, that doesn't matter because
we don't care."
Yeah. like because this big casting director wants to see. And I'm gonna tell you, man, the worst one I stopped going to these was in Charlotte, man. Corgan and Johnson. You know, hey, I love you, Corgan and Johnson, but y'all never casted me for nothing. I went to
I don't
Charlotte
know
so
who that
many
is.
times. You don't know Corgan and Johnson?
Nope.
Man, I went to Charlotte so many times on so many different commercial auditions, man. And but the one that finally casted me was the North Carolina Lottery. That was like that was my big job. That's my claim to fame. So pick 5 North Carolina Lottery. If y'all, you know, that was my big claim to fame. So, but after that, man, I'm gonna tell you what really made me realize like I need to go in a different direction in this field was I got cast in this movie. It was a short film, and I didn't realize it, but the character was gay. All right, and although there was no physical touching, I had to. No offense to anybody, you know what I'm saying? Because like I love my gay community, but you know it was hard for me to accept being you know you know and you know what I'm saying that role to do the role. So
No,
I had to
I definitely understand.
yeah. So and the role was I had to describe to a man how I gave him a blowjob and my jaws hurt.
Oh nah, fam.
Exactly.
And your jaws hurt.
Exactly. And I'm reading through the script, and so the co-star is actually gay, and he's looking at me like I'm a steak, right?
He's like, you need help?
Right.
I can help you.
I can help you get into the role. And shout out Ashley, man. He was dope, man. I don't even know where he is at this point, but you know, he was a great guy. But yeah, I was reading the lines and I'm looking at him and I'm reading the lines and he's like, "Come on, I need a little bit more from you. I'm like, "Nah, bro." So
a little more saliva.
right.
Like smile harder.
Right, man. So I was like, "Cool. I'm gonna hand this script back to the director." And I was like, "I appreciate it," but I was like, I can't, man. And so after that, that's what really put me on my filmmaking journey.
No, damn.
Yeah, maybe changed my whole life.
It's a little blowjob talk, man. But no, I definitely get that because I've been in positions of being offered, you know, certain roles and things like that. I'm a big ass dude too, so I don't get offered them roles often.
Yeah.
But I also don't take them.
Yeah.
Not because, excuse me, not because of I've got a problem with, you know, that community. You already know, being in the film business.
Yeah.
If you got a problem with gay people,
Yeah.
you're not gonna last in
not
this
gonna
industry.
succeed,
And I'm not saying everybody in this industry is gay. I'm saying, but there's a lot of everybody.
Yeah.
And you will miss out on some. I have really great friendships with some really dope people that, you know, I've gotten to know on this journey who happen to be gay.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like you. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But I don't want to look at another man. I'm not gay.
Right.
So where we run into the problem is I looking at another man on camera and describing what you were just talking about.
Yeah.
I am the same in the fact of if you want me to kiss another man, I physically can't do it.
Exactly.
And it's not because that man, you know, of anything about, you know, homophobia or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just at the same, just like a gay man doesn't want to kiss a woman.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
But it also has a lot to do with, you know, environments, backgrounds, et cetera. It's really hard because some people are like, well, you're an actor, then you should be able to do a lot of things. Right. You know what I mean? Right. But at the same time, there are coming out of certain backgrounds and certain environments. I had a very machismo, you know, family and upbringing and stuff like that. So that's so me doing it. I have no problem with anybody else doing it. Yeah. But me doing it is so far from our purview. And there's, you know, once certain things are set in your core, you know, because I'm not going to lie, when I first got in the business, because I wasn't around gay people like that. And it still wasn't like people were, unless you were in certain cities or certain places where it was very open. Yeah. But for the most, especially in the South, it wasn't open. You know what I mean? Right. Like it was still highly frowned upon. And so you just didn't know. And I've always been the type of person, because of my mother. My mother raised us in a way where we never had race issues where we didn't like certain races or had any problems, you know, with that kind of stuff or any type of people. I remember there was a guy named Johnny, you know, rest in peace. It was my first experience being around a gay man regularly, and he needed a place to stay. Him and my mom were really good friends, and she ended up letting him come stay. We loved John. We called him Uncle Johnny, and Uncle Johnny was gay as hell. You know what I mean? He tried to like keep it in,
Yeah. But it
but
just kept bursting out.
and we didn't care. He was a really dope dude and like a really sweet person.
Yeah.
And he was cool to us and good to us.
Yeah.
So after him, like I didn't really have like, oh my God, you're gay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I always thought of Uncle Johnny,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And getting into the industry, it was different as an adult. Like I didn't know, I wasn't against anyone gay, but I didn't know how to be their friend.
Yes.
You know, if that makes sense. Especially, again, like I said, the world I'm coming out of, the people I'm with, I'm running the streets, I'm doing that, and everything is so anti, you know, that stuff that then trying to like, but fortunately, I'm an open person.
Yeah.
And so, you know, getting into the film business and meeting really cool people. There was a guy named Keith who was the one, I say the first person outside of Johnny, because Johnny was different. My mom moved him in.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we had no choice but to be around him, which we ended up enjoying being around him. But with Keith, that was my first friendship with someone gay that no one pushed us to be there around each other. It was just genuine. I was actually dating this woman who was best friends with him. And it was all like film people, you know. Yeah. And he works in, I don't know where he is now. I hope he's doing all right. But Keith was like, Keith's taller than me. He was like 6'6".
Jesus.
And but a beanpole.
Oh, okay,
He's a white guy.
Okay.
Beanpole, very slim and very tall. And it was like Keith just cracked me up because Keith was so feminine, but he was so damn tall. And it was just like, this is a weird mixture for me. It's so interesting, you know. But he was hilarious. And so I was hanging around him, hanging out with her and their friends. And I mean, it was just really mind-opening, interesting dichotomy. Yeah. Not just him, but being around, because they were all like into 80s rock and emo stuff. And I was like, I'm the street kid. Like, I'm like, this is an alien planet to me. I'm on right now. But I was always a curious person, so it was cool to be around them and kind of see their culture and what they're into. And Keith and I became good friends. And I never forget, I remember being downtown years ago, going to the club with friends of mine. And Keith just randomly, because I'm the type of person, I'm not going to shun you because I'm worried about what my friends may think about you. Yeah. I don't give a damn. I've always been that way, thank God. You know what I mean? I stand on my own 10 toes and I live by how, you know, I feel, not what someone thinks of me or what I do. And I remember Keith, I hadn't seen Keith in like 2 years at that point. And Keith comes walking across the street and we're on our way walking to the club. And he's like, Dominic. And I'm like, Keith, where the hell have you been? And, you know, he runs up to me and I give him a hug. And I never forget the look on my friends, well, the friends at that time. I don't know them now, but I never forget the look on their faces because we hugged and then we started laughing and talking and catching up just for a split second. And he was going to somewhere else. I think he was going to the gay club.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, I think he was going there and we were going around the other way. And so I didn't think none of it. You know, I hugged him, spoke to him, caught up for a second. And then I'm like, all right, y'all ready? You know, we get back to walking. And they're just looking like, what the hell? What did we just watch? Right. And I knew then, I was like, because I didn't care what they thought. You know, I didn't care if they wondered, like, why do you know this gay dude? Yeah. Or any of that. I was just like the closed-mindedness. I was like, we're not going to last a long time as friends. Yeah. Because you can't be, he never disrespected me or did anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so, and I've had others. When I did All Eyes on Me, you know, the agent I was with at the time, Terrence Hurd, you know, he was gay. You know what I mean? And it was so funny when I first met Terrence. I met him doing the movie Furnace with Ja Rule, Danny Trejo, and
I
all
remember
them
that
back in the day.
I remember that movie.
And so it was like, that was like mid 2000s, I think. And again, it was still like, I had been around Keith a little of some at that time, and I was cool with Keith, but I didn't know, you know, I didn't know too many gay people at the time. And Terrence Hurd, you know, he can vouch for this. But I remember he wasn't my agent then. I met him. He was providing extras, and because he also ran like a modeling agency in Nashville.
Okay.
And so he was getting extras and models, et cetera. and we're shooting the movie, and he was a really cool dude, and he was like, he knew all like the plugs, like he knew all the rich families and the rich women, so he would take me and introduce me to the fine rich dentists, right? And he was like, you need to meet this one, you need to meet. He would give me all the rundown too. She got this much money, she got this.
Listen, man, I'm telling you, hanging out.
Yeah, but the funny thing was, I thought he was cool the whole shoot, but he knew like, and not just the women, just like the who's who. He took me to Fisk, university, and taught me about Fisk and its history and his alma mater. He's very proud of Fisk, and others. And it was funny because the first time we were actually going to hang out, I had been seeing him on set like almost every day, and we would interact and stuff. And he would tell, because he was a modeling agent too, so he'd be like, "You are so handsome," and I'd be like, "You flirting with me?" Like, what's happening right now? Like, keep talking about. But I would learn later is like he's just very open like that. He will say what's on his mind, not disrespectful, but he will say what's on his mind. Yeah. And I remember he was like, "I want to take you to this restaurant called Alexander's. Is it Alexander's or Alexander J? I think it was Alexander's. If you're from Nashville, you know what I'm talking about." And so I was like, all right, cool. And he was like, and then we're going to go to this party, this, wealthy family I'm really close with. They throw all the time and they're really great people. So I'm like, I'm down. He was like, it's going to be beautiful women there, rich women. And I was like, oh, nothing more I like than women is a rich woman. So I'm like, cool, I'm hyped. We get up, he picks me up from the hotel. Now, this is the first time we've been alone one-on-one. I'm ignorant, right? So I remember I looked at him, I said, hey, before we take off, because he had a Mercedes compressor. I don't know if you know what a Mercedes compressor is. Yeah. It's a tiny two-seater, you know what I mean? I was in it like this. But I was like, before I get in here and we head off, man, I was just like, look, I just want to clear the air. I want to make sure we're both on the same page. I don't want no funny business, because I'm not that dude. You know what I mean? Like it'd be a real problem. If you get disrespectful. He just looked at me and started laughing. And that was the first. I knew Keith and had met others, so I knew gay people. I didn't know. I was too ignorant to understand that. Just because you're a dude, that don't mean they want you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm young, I'm ignorant, and I'm like, I just want to be clear before we take off. Like, don't let this be no agenda or nothing, because I'm the wrong one. You get hurt up in here. And how you laughing? He just looked at me and started dying laughing. He was like, please, you think I don't know a gay man when I see one? I know you're not gay. Wow. So he was like, you don't have to worry about any of that. I know you're very straight. And I was like, okay, Terrence. I was just, hey, had to throw it out there, brother, just so we all good, But it was just like, he looked at me like, you ignorant bastard. Right. Like, nobody wants you. And we went to dinner, and then we went to the party, had a great damn time. And he did hook me up with some badass rich women, Yeah. And me and him stayed cool. And I was in between agents at the time. I had left People Store at the time out of Atlanta. And me and him just, I don't know, we ended up talking somehow. We were catching up. And I was like, look, I'm looking for a new agent, like in LA or something like that. But I was like, if you want to, submit me for some things, I'll let you be my agent, give you your fee, et cetera, while I figure this out. And he was like, of course, And so he's the one that actually ended up submitting me for All Eyes on Me, was a gay man. You know what I mean? Nice, yeah. So it's like, just think, if you're going to be ignorant and closed-minded, think of opportunities you could. I co-starred in worldwide theaters. Yeah. And it started with, because the relationship, the friendship he and I had over years, and it brought us to that place. Yeah. And then we, everything transpired after that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm taking up your thing.
No, you good.
So,
you're good.
So I get it. You don't like gay people.
No,
I'm joking. Trying to get this man canceled. They're like, come on, man, don't get me canceled just right out the gate, baby.
Right. At least let somebody know my name first.
No, Marquand he's got gay people around him on his team.
My one of my favorite people in the world, my business partner, Matt Smith, is. He says he's bisexual.
He's sort of gay.
Yeah, sort of gay.
Is that sort of gay? Like, what?
I don't know because
Well,
like,
I guess if he says he's bisexual, then you gotta
yeah.
respect that. Okay,
Right. Okay.
that's what you
All
are.
right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Matt, you're bisexual. Okay. So it's agreed upon. But and to kind of piggyback on something that you said, man, it is true. You know, I mean, I grew up in the '90s. You know, in St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like everything I did, every job I had was really male dominated.
Yeah.
So it was always this. You know, you got to be this man's man.
Yeah, ego and pride
Yeah.
and machismo.
Yeah, and so like if you see a man that is not the macho, hey, is to us it's like, oh, this he's an alien.
Yeah.
So
and then you grew up with other ignorant ass kids who've
Yeah.
been taught all jacked up.
yeah,
And they're
and they don't they don't understand. So as I grew grew in this industry. Again, like you said, it really opened up my mind. It opened up my perspective, and there was something else, man, that kind of triggered. Was when I first got to North Carolina, I wasn't used to so many interracial relationships. Yeah. Chew on that for a little bit, man. Like when I first got here and I saw so many black and white couples, I used to get offended. Like I used to be so mad, bro. Like because it was like, I guess it happened in St. Louis, but it was always like the black people were with the black people, the white people was with the white people. Mexicans, everybody just stayed to themselves. You know what I'm saying? And like as the 2000s and the 2010s started to progress, and all of these cultures started to mix, it was like almost like a culture shock for me. And I was like, what's happening? What's going on? Why is the world turning upside down? And like now I'm like, like I'm so happy to see that. I'm so happy that mindset is off of me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like now I'm just like, I love everybody. I'm like, man, when I see like black kids playing with white kids, man, that's like the coolest thing in the world to me, man. Like my son, he has such a diverse group of friends, man. That's the coolest thing in the world to me, man.
Yeah.
And my son, he kind of admitted to me that he's pansexual, and his friend group is mostly made up of white kids, and he has some black kids and things like that.
Yeah,
and
pansexual is new to the black community.
Yeah. That's it.
You looked at me like it was a setup.
So I mean, but I just think it's all cool, man, and I'm completely accepting of him, and I love my son, man, and I love all my kids and everything, and I try to teach them.
It's a new
don't
world.
Be closed-minded. Yeah,
you can't in this world. You can't be closed-minded.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean, like,
and I'm glad you handle it that way.
Yeah, but like you said, it shuts you off
Yeah.
from the world, and I didn't realize that, man. I didn't realize how shut off from the world I was. I mean, it's some great people out there. Some genuinely great people out there, and and I think of my friend. I think of my friend group, and I'm like, man, I would have missed out on all of these friends and all of these great people if I would have just been like, oh, I'm from St. Louis, man. We don't do stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
no, but,
exactly.
yeah.
So you the acting's not working out.
Mm-hmm.
You decided you want to be in another part of the film business.
Yeah.
Take us into that. Like, how do you end up a filmmaker?
Okay.
So, and did you go to school? Did you train? Because like you don't just produce, but you direct, you write, and produce.
Yeah.
Even though I know producing is your main passion.
Yeah.
But I know you do it all.
Do it all. Yeah. So like, man, that was a journey all in its own. Like when I first started making film, I had a best friend. Her name was Cece Pringle, and we used to always sit on the phone, and we used to always talk about movies and things like that. So I had bought this little. I mean, this camera was probably like $108.
God.
Right? It was a piece of crap, man. And so she was like, "You got a camera? Go make a movie." So I'm like, you know what? You're right. I got a camera. I'm gonna go make a movie. So prior to that, I had taken a couple editing classes at Cape Fear. Shout out to Duke Fire, Cape Fear Community College, great school. And so like Duke kind of like, showed me some stuff and things like that. So I was like, okay. So I started tinkering around with like editing and things like that, but I really didn't know anything. And then I moved to Maryland, and you know, this is kind of like prior to this conversation with CC, and you know, I took a course in film, and again, it was something that, you know, I really didn't learn much. So, you know, I'm the type of person, if I really want to learn it, I'll teach myself.
Yeah.
So
But that happens a lot in most film schools.
Yeah.
Now, with the exception of like a UCLA or
Right.
USC
USC,
or NYU,
or even Full Sail now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But most programs, and they're like, we have a film program. Most people
Right.
come out there like, I don't learn a damn thing.
nothing. Nothing. I learned how to go take orders from somebody else.
I was about to say is from the smaller schools that aren't, you know, that's not a big program for them, or like a big acclaimed program.
Yeah.
They go through all that, spend all that money, and got my film degree to go be a PA.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you got to work your way up and learn all the real stuff anyway.
Exactly. And that's literally what happened, man. So I went and I shot this movie with this camera, right, with this $108 camera. And it was the worst piece of crap you ever want to see in your life. and so I'm such a perfectionist. I kept looking at it and I said, well, why doesn't it look like on TV?
Yeah, you got a $108 camera. That's why.
Right, with probably a cheaper lens. So I kept looking. I was like, why doesn't it? I was like, how do they make it look like that? So, you know, so then I was like, all right. So I kept like writing these scripts, and I mean, these scripts were terrible, man. I mean, these were like probably like no story structure, no anything.
Were you writing them on paper? Were you one of those guys?
The first one I did. The first one I did. The second one I wrote.
I still have a script I wrote in a damn notebook.
Yeah.
It was good too. I gotta actually type it out one day.
and then I moved up to Microsoft Word.
Oh my God! What the hell were you? From writing.
Yeah, from writing. And
That's even worse.
Yeah, and I was writing these scripts, man, and I thought that I was writing these great, fantastic scripts, and these things were terrible.
You know about Act 1, Act 2, Act 3,
nothing, none of
formulas,
it, none of it. I was just writing a whole bunch of people saying a whole bunch of words.
In case you watching at home or listening on podcasts, go study.
Yes.
Go study.
Yes.
Because I made that mistake. I've sold and had a movie come out in the whole nine, and a lot of people don't know, Mr. Wright, check it out, that a lot of people don't know that I started writing that movie. I was on page. Now, typically, it was a romantic comedy. So typically, you don't want to go beyond 90 pages, right? If you could be less, a little less, you'd be a little less. But I was on like page 70 still in Act 1.
What?
And I was like, something is wrong.
Yeah.
And I had to step back.
Yeah.
And go, and I got the Screenwriter's Bible, and I started Googling tips from, you know, professional writers and stuff, and just seeing what they said. Then I learned, I was like, I had a whole new respect for screenwriters. I thought they just sat down and write.
Yeah.
But no, there's formulas.
Yep.
There's formulas you got to follow. There's structure. There's, you know, you got to know what you're doing with your characters. You got to know how to move them. You know, there's got to be a climax and then a resolve to the climax. And there's so many things involved that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I had to go like teach myself and then come back. And I tried to fix the script, but it was so jacked.
Yeah.
I was like, I literally have to just start over.
Yeah.
Deleted it, start over from scratch, wrote it properly. And that was my very first script I completed. And I started writing other things.
It was a great movie.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that movie.
The first script I ever completed to the end is the first script I sold.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Yeah.
Because I went back and studied and like really put an effort, you know, into going, okay, I got to do this right.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm about to blow your mind, man. Do you remember a few years ago? You probably won't even remember this. You were in a Social Security office with your girlfriend at the time, or your wife, or I don't know what she was.
Married, no.
Okay, your girlfriend at the time. You had 2 kids, and you was talking to a guy about selling that script in the Social Security office. You remember that?
I don't know why I would be in the Social Security office.
You was trying to get like a new Social Security card or something like that. Somebody had lost their Social Security card.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. I have no idea.
Yeah, you were. That was me. We sat in the Social Security office and had a whole conversation.
Did we?
Yeah, we had a whole. You told
I'm
me
so
about
sorry
that
I don't
script.
remember these things.
Yeah.
I did too
I'm
much in
telling
my
when
life, man.
when I say man,
Wow.
we've run into each other so
That's
many
crazy
times.
because you never told me that story either. I didn't
No,
know we've sat and had
no,
a whole conversation
because
before.
I literally just thought about it when you told me about Mr. Right. I
Oh, wow.
completely forgot about that. And
Uh,
when you were telling me about Mr. Right, I was like, I remember when you were
why was I
telling.
talking to you?
I had turned around and I started like talking to you about film and stuff.
Oh,
And you was just like, because you told me you sold the script, but you not only sold it, you put in a clause that the script was going to be made.
yes,
Um,
that's
yeah,
actually exactly. I took less money.
yeah, yep. I
So
remember that.
the funny story about that project is Roger Bob of Bobcat Films, who
Okay,
was Tyler Perry's right hand man for years, and then president of Tyler Perry Studios for
okay,
several, all the big initial run of Tyler Perry movies when they started coming out.
yeah,
That was when Roger Bob was president, and I don't know, I never knew what happened in detail between him and Tyler Perry. I just heard that he wanted to do different types of films
yeah,
than what Tyler was doing and wanted to kind of just spread his wings, so he branched off on his own. Um, so I remember I took it to him and I took it to my guy at Swirl Films, who I knew and had done movies with, etc. And they both actually wanted it, but Bobcat Films actually offered like a really good amount of money. Like at that time for
yeah,
me, you know what I mean? I was
yeah,
about broke at that time too, so it was like,
yeah,
I was like, man, they offered me some really good money for it. But there was no guarantee that it would get made. And also, for those of you who don't know, sometimes you can sell a script or option a script, and it never end up seeing the light of day if the film company doesn't want to put the money behind it to actually shoot it. And so that's great. You can end up getting a decent check,
yeah,
but if it never comes out, it doesn't help you further your career and get more of those opportunities.
yeah,
So sometimes you got to make the smart play and go, well, look, and this is why it's good not to just be all about money. Think beyond, think strategy. So I was in strategy mode, and it's crazy. I know you're telling the
yeah,
truth because not many people know that story or that background.
yep,
And I know I've never told you that
yeah.
outside of that time,
That conversation, yeah,
And so yes, I took Bobcat Films was like, offering me 3 times the money and no guarantee. Swirl was like, well, look, we ain't gonna pay you that much. We ain't gonna pay you that, that high, but because they were a smaller company at the time. But they were like, but the good thing about the producer who owned Swirl,
yeah,
I knew him. He's frugal business wise, so he's not gonna buy anything that he is not intending to actually make a profit back on it. So I was like, all right, Bobcat, you can't give me a guarantee. Then, I talked to Eric at Swirl, and he was like, you already know. If I buy it, it's getting made,
yeah,
So I was like, well, all right, well, I got to go with the guarantee. I'll take less money and get the guarantee and make sure that movie gets put out. So
yeah,
I can say, I'm a writer. Here's the proof. It didn't come out in theaters, but it came out on, national television, and it's still circulating.
yeah, yeah.
You
It
know what I
is.
mean?
It's it hit Netflix. Didn't
Did
it?
it?
Yeah, yeah. I remember.
I don't even know.
I think that's when I watched it. I think it was on Netflix when I watched it.
Oh, hey, I missed it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it was a good movie.
That's why you did blow my mind.
Yeah,
'Cause I'm like,
I told you, man. I'm telling you, we've had a lot of encounters, man. I've literally watched quite a few of your projects, quite a few of the things that you've done, man. I've been a fan of yours for a very long time. So
thank
when
you.
Rob was like, "Yo, you want to meet my?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to meet your cousin."
Did you know we were cousins?
Yeah, yeah. Rob used to always talk about you.
Oh, okay.
But
Shout out to Rob Covington.
yeah, Rob's my guy, man. He's like one of the nicest guys on the planet. And so yeah, he was like, "Man, you wanna meet my cousin?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to meet your cousin." You know what I'm saying? Like I've been a fan. Like bro, I seen you in Eastbound and Down. I remember you. I remember you in The Game. I watched that episode with you and Tasha Mack. You know what I'm saying? So I watched Dead Heist, man, and I'm not fanboying or nothing, but you know what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
no, I
yeah, like
appreciate that. I appreciate
I've
that a lot.
admired your growth. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
a guy that I saw that was sitting next to me in the
Yeah.
Social Security office, all of a sudden is on All Eyes on Me. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I've admired your
No,
growth
that's
throughout the years.
a cool seat because I haven't got to see many people do that where I've known them and just kind of seeing their growth and like,
Yeah.
shit, this dude's still going.
Yeah.
Like, damn, all right. Oh, shit, you know.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten to witness that. That's a really cool seat
It
to
was.
see things happen from.
It was, and I was like,
I'm glad you got a much better memory than mine.
No, I do, man. I remember everything. Like that's, you know, but yeah, man. I was really happy. I was always cheering you on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like for years. So you know, I mean, like when you like kind of took me under your wing, man. Like that was like, you know what I'm saying? Like full circle. It was like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, wow.
Yeah, it really was. From being my hand to,
it
was like 06. So
that was way back in the day. Yeah, that was
from there. And then these encounters, and then like Mr. Right.
Yeah.
Like you got to hear about it because I wasn't talking to anybody about it. Because I
Yeah.
was like, man, if this gets jacked up and I'm, you know, telling everybody about it and it don't happen, and I look crazy. So I wasn't hardly talking to anybody about that. So yeah, that's pretty cool right there.
Man. Yeah.
And then so you go from I'm trying to remember where you were.
Yeah, so you know, we was talking about the scripts, man, and you know, like I said, I trained myself on how to create scripts, on how to write scripts, you know, the proper format on how to write scripts. And then a lot of people don't know or you know, like really know Joe Dunton.
But shout out to Joe Dunton, JDC, Erica Dunton family.
The whole Dunton family, man. Joe was the one who really developed me. So Joe
did that with a lot of people. He doesn't get enough credit.
He doesn't have the credit, man.
He doesn't get enough credit for that.
Amazing,
there's a million stories I have, especially in the black community.
Yeah.
So that's what was surprising to me.
Yeah.
Was like so many black filmmakers or people in the film business in some shape, form, or fashion, camera ops, whatever. And there's a lot of them have a story. It's not just black, but oftentimes you'll see where it's like, you know, you'll see a bunch of white guys with the story, but, you know, black guys like, I tried to talk to him. They had security escort me out. But no, with Joe, he didn't care about color. Not. If you had a love for film and you were willing to put in some work, he would train you. And then, like, think about the dude he is and his history and what it would cost you. Like, if he wanted to charge you the value of his experience and what he can teach you, it would cost way too much. So for him to just offer it, that's wild. And he's done that with multiple people I've come across.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And I you know, that was like one of the most amazing times of my life, because I walked into his office and I was like, hey, I'm a filmmaker. He was like, okay, sit down. And he gave me, you know, he talked to me and everything. And so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make a feature film. And he was like, okay. I was like, I'm gonna do it in 3 days. And he stopped and he looks at me, he says, okay. so I'm like,
out of your damn mind.
Right. So he said, after 3 days, come back and tell me how that worked out.
So he just let you do it.
Yeah.
He's
so
like, go out there and see.
Right. So I went, man, and I mean, when I say, man, we bombed this thing terribly. Like it was horrible, man. Like it was the worst thing ever. So I came back to him. Like he actually called me, and I was so shocked. I was like, Joe Dunton is calling me. He was like, I want you to come back. So I came back and I sat with him, and he was like, I'm gonna give you an office in the back of my office, and I want you to stay here, and I'm gonna teach you everything I know. And I was like, what?
That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably don't know a fraction of what he knows. But I literally didn't have a full-time job for 2 years. And I went to his office every day for 2 years. Wow. And I delivered papers at night. And nobody knows that story. I was like,
that's rough. I delivered papers before.
Yeah.
It didn't last long.
Yeah. Man, that was probably one of the top 3 worst jobs I've ever had.
Get up at 3 in the morning and going and pick them papers up.
Yep. And then when you get a complaint, that used to be the worst. Yeah.
God, yeah.
Yeah, I used to hate that, man. Yeah, man. But yeah, he brought me in, man, for 2 years, man. 2 years. And he was just like, I see you doing something greater. And I mean, he really, like, things really started to click for me. And then there was a gentleman by the name of Todd McFadden. He passed away. He was he actually had become my mentor, him and Joe. And basically, he was like the smartest man I've ever met. Like he was like the Black Einstein. Like, I mean, this brother knew everything. And so he was interested in film. He was a teacher at UNCW. He actually left his job to come and be in the office with me and Joe
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, so it was all three of us for like almost 2 years. And I mean, man, we had some of the greatest conversations,
No
you
wonder
know.
you know so much shit. I mean,
Yeah.
shit, that was better than most degrees.
Yeah. It was
Being in
way
there for 2
better.
years.
Yeah. It was way better. Way better. And I didn't understand the value at the time.
Hmm.
You know, the value of the things, because like at the time I was still kind of teeter-tottering with, I was like, yeah, I just want to be a producer. I don't really want to pick up the camera. I don't really want to do this. And I was kind of teeter-tottering with it. And had I not understood the value of what Joe was offering,
Hmm.
I would have completely submerged myself in his knowledge
Hmm.
of, I mean, Joe is not really, in the lighting, but camera, he created the Hawks, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
like, I mean, he created lenses
People
for
don't know
Stanley
this dude is
Kubrick,
in
man.
like film books. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like in school, you're gonna learn. You're
Yeah.
gonna come across this dude.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
it's funny you say that because I worked on his daughter's directorial debut,
Oh, nice.
Erica Dunton, the
Yeah.
27 Club.
Oh yeah, yeah. I haven't seen that one yet, but
It's a good movie.
yeah.
And I remember they had some issues with funding at some point. The investor that had backed it either ran out of money or didn't put up, a portion of it toward the end. So they had to find another investor while we were filming. And they found this couple from the UK that was like, wealthy and whatnot. And I remember the girl, either it might have been his wife, but the guy who it was the guy who had the money, and
Yeah.
the woman, his wife, investing in the film was kind of like her little pet project. And so he wasn't really like into it. And
Yeah.
so they actually flew over and, came to set.
Yeah.
And Bono from U2, his daughter, somehow so Erica used to babysit Bono's daughter. And so,
I remember
you
that.
know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
She's actually, she's a big actress now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I was there in her first movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And it was right. But it was hilarious because I didn't grow up being a U2 fan and all that. So I remember when she got to set. Now, was there anybody else black? I think I was like one of the only black people out there
Yeah.
on that set.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching them, like, the white crew, they, knew that he was a superstar to them. I knew who Bono was, but
Yeah.
I was like, couldn't tell you one song.
Right, right.
And
yeah.
so I'm out there feeling goofy because they're losing their shit over not him being there, his daughter being there and her association to Bono.
Okay.
And they're just like, oh my God. And like Eric had to tell him, like, look, when she gets out here, chill out. You know what I mean? But they were just like, it's Bono's daughter. And I'm like, what's the big deal? So I'm like the asshole. It's like, what's everybody, And so, but it was still really cool. She was really good. And she was a cool, at the time, she was like a preteen, she was young, but she wasn't a little kid, but she was young.
Yeah.
And that's Erica told me about how, she used to babysit his daughter. And so I was like, Bono? Like, why do you know Bono? But the Dutton family, like, they're so plugged and everything. But back to the producer, the fake producer who came on. I remember Erica had to do what she had to do. So she, got them involved and got the money. And I never forget her name, Kiara, because I remember being like, a white woman named Kiara?
Oh wow.
And yeah. So from London.
Yeah.
And so she used to walk around with her little, I don't know what, a Pomeranian or some dog, some little tiny hairy dog, and all her like Louis Vuitton on and stuff like that, and just like, what's this and what's that and what. And the dude, he was always on the phone. He'd walk off, he'd be gone for a while, and then he'd pop back up on his phone. He's talking business and shit, I guess. And I remember I was standing there with Joe because I got real cool with Joe by that point. And pie brought me and Joe together. And so
Pie. What kind of pie?
cherry pie.
Cherry pie.
If I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
mistaken, it was
Joe
cherry
loves
pie.
snacks.
Yeah, well, see, they put me on, I don't know if it's a British thing or what it was, but because their family's British, for those of you who don't know, they're the ones who put me on like pouring cream on your pie. I'd never, I've had ice cream with it, but actual like warm cream, like pouring on, that's a thing.
Really? Is it good?
Yeah. It actually was. It was. And so we get Pie and his wife. We were sitting there. I found out shrimp on the Barbie was a real thing. Up until
But isn't that Australian though?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's Australian. Yeah, I think that's
up until that point, you heard shrimp on the Barbie, and people make be funny, try to do the accent and stuff. But I didn't know it was it's like, oh, that's an actual real thing. I thought it was some funny line from a movie that just spread everywhere. And so we're having shrimp. I was like, yeah, we have some shrimp on the Barbie, and I'm like, wait, that's a real thing? This is shrimp on the barbecue,
Yeah.
But so they were making shrimp. We ate some seafood and stuff, and this is when they used to have the house on Wrights. I think it was Wrightsville Beach.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there, and they bring out the pie, and his wife, Mrs. Dunton, is on his ass about watching what he's eating.
Oh yeah.
And so she's like, you can have some pie, but you can't have no cream on it. And he's like, oh. you know how he felt about his wife, so he just like listened to her and like, and I'm over there with my cream, like pouring it up. It's sitting like one of those little gravy bowl, old school gravy bowl looking things with the spout. And I'm just like, shit, I ain't never even had cream on my pie. It's about to be good. And he looking at my pie like just sad as hell. And so I was like, his wife walked back in the house, and I was like, come here, big dog, got you. I poured some cream on his pie, and like, you didn't get that from me. He was smiling ear to ear. From that moment on, he was like, yo, you my man. So we were mad cool forever after that. But back to the producer, he was walking. This is when I was like, I realized how much Joe Dutton really loved film. Mm-hmm. And this statement made me respect it so much more.
Yeah.
Which was, that guy was just walking around. He was kind of a douche too, you know what I mean? He wouldn't talk to it was only certain people he would talk to on set. And they started acting like, they just funded the whole movie at this point. And like they were big Hollywood executives. And I remember he didn't know anything about film sets, stuff like that. Joe got so frustrated because they were the money, so they had to deal with him being there, but he just kept getting in the way and then start trying to just boss people just to do it because they were executive producers.
I hate it when
but don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And he was just like, he walked off at one point, and I seen him just like ready to kick shit over. And so I walked over to him. I was like, Joe, you good? And he was just, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, I was like, yeah, dude's a little douchey, whatever. Yeah. I get it. And he was just like, no. He was like, people will come to a set and act like, they're just, they're these big shot producers and stuff like that. And he was like, it's disrespectful. He was like, a producer, to call yourself a producer, you should know almost at least everything, every position, every job on a film set. You should know what everybody is supposed to be doing and know how to do what they do. How can you be the leader? How can you lead them if you don't even know how to do what they do? How can you tell them how to do it better? And so he was just like, and that was the first time I ever heard that. It was like, a producer should know every single person's job on a film set. And I was like, you really got to give a damn to know that.
Yeah.
Because I know, as I went up in my career, I know producers at Netflix. I know producers at OWN and ABC and other places that, you ask them to do something, or like you ask them about something like actually what somebody's job is. And I never forget my business partner, Chasen. I took him to a meeting with a executive producer who had been a producer for years. And we were sitting there having a meeting, and Chasen is like that. He's like an almanac of, because he's the person too. He went to YouTube University, you know what I mean, and experience.
Yeah.
And he spent years just studying every single role on a film set. So he knows he can do almost every role, right? Yeah. And knows the equipment. He can work cameras. He knows lighting. He knows, just a bunch of stuff. And I remember the guy, we're talking about film and stuff, and he starts breaking down, well, I would do it this way, because, this position, this person does this, I'd have them do that, et cetera, et cetera. And he looked at him, and he was just like talking about cameras and all, because he's a film geek, he's talking about cameras and all that stuff. And, Zeiss lenses and all, and the guy looks at him, he's like, why do you know all of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was looking at my partner, who's at the time was still coming up. And I looked at him and I was like, oh, boy, you about to be a beast in this industry.
Yeah.
Because when you got people who call themselves producers,
That don't know it.
who don't know all this stuff and look at you and go, he didn't say, how do you know all that? He said, why do you know all of that?
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, getting in the Hollywood system, in the big corporate systems and networks and major studios, you do have some really good people who actually produce and know everything, but they're just the physical producers. But then you have a lot of people that you're surprised they have the producer title, and there's so many things they can't tell you about damn near any position.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or even, I mean, to me, some of them just really don't even know how to produce. They just know how to, like, hey,
like, brother, you're an executive assistant.
Yeah,
that's what you are. You're not a producer.
Exactly. And, you know, and that's one thing, you know, that I loved about Joe. He constantly challenged me. Him and Todd McFadden, they constantly challenged me. They constantly said, you need to know everything. So, you know, I mean, I took it personal. I was like, all right, cool. Y'all want me to know? I'm going to know everything. I'm going to know, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to know why the dude is cleaning the porta john at the time he cleaned it. Like, you want me to know everything. So yeah, man.
But that makes your crew respect the hell out of you.
Yeah.
And they'll work harder for you when they feel. I've learned that. I learned that the hard way from other people.
Yeah.
And even in some of my earlier projects where it was like, when people know that you know what they're supposed to be doing and what you're doing, they will follow you to the ends of the earth.
Yep.
Once they figure out, this dude don't know he trying to order me around and don't even know what the hell he's doing, you're going to have problems.
Yeah.
Because then people, like, they don't respect you.
They don't, they lose all respect.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, let's be honest, we all creative. So, you know, as soon as a film person find out you don't know nothing, they out the door, man. Like, you know, and I mean that a funny story about that, man. When I first started in film, I used to BS people. I used to be like, yeah, I'm in film, I'm a filmmaker and everything. And I'll never forget I was at this I was at some sort of filmmaking event downtown. And I was talking to this guy. He was you know, he was obviously a novice as well. So he goes, so what kind of camera do you shoot on?
Oh God.
I didn't know any camera systems at that time. Like, I didn't know nothing about cameras.
That's the first way to find out. Somebody ask about cameras, ask about lenses.
Yes.
You will stomp them if they don't know their shit.
And so I only camera I knew at the time was the Red. I didn't even know Canon. So I was like,
yeah, you ain't no real filmmaker. Back then, Red was new.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you shot Red, it's like, man, you just looking online. You can't name a Canon or a Sony.
Or nothing. Yeah. And at that time, you know, you got to think, like, at the level we were at, most of us were shooting on DSLRs.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, like, oh, man, you know, and so I would deflect. And I would be like, yeah, so I haven't really chosen the camera that I like. You know, but I was like, but I love the Red. I'm thinking about getting the Red. But, you know, it's like $30,000 with all the bells and the whistles. I didn't know what the bells and the whistles were. You know, I heard somebody say it prior to. And so every time I would talk about, you know, camera systems, I would always say, yeah, you know, but you got to get all the bells and the whistles for 30 grand. And so, like, somebody, like, kind of called me on it. And so, like, I had got called on this so many times. I was like, man, you know what? Let me learn what cameras do and what, you know what I'm saying, which cameras and you know, why these cameras are better or whatever, or why people choose cameras. So, like, that's, you know, those are some of the things, man, that kind of really, like, started me on my journey where I was like, all right, man, I can't keep saying one thing and then doing another. And you know, so those are some of the funny stories, man.
You sound like me as an actor. In the very beginning, it was like, I don't know what it was, but like working here locally. Yeah. I never wanted, this is before I lived in LA, and it was like, I didn't want to be treated like, oh, you just local. You know, you're just a local. Because I watched how locals were treated versus, you know, the LA crew and, you know, cast. And it was like, if I'm local, I'm nobody, you know. And so I remember I had never been to, like, back then, it was before I'd ever been to LA. So I didn't know shit about LA, right? And not specifics, at least. Yeah. And, you know, people, it happened to me a couple of times where people like, oh, okay, you know, we're on the cast, we're going to set or whatever. And they're like, so are you from here? Oh, no. I mean, I'm from North Carolina, but, you know, no, I don't live here. I got flown in like y'all. I'm like, oh, from where? L.A., you know. Oh, you live in L.A.? What part? The east, southeast. You know, now I know it's like that's stupid to say. They're like, mother, you do not live in East L.A. I know you don't. I mean, you light, but you ain't that
Yeah,
damn light.
right.
And so, like, oh, where you at? You know, you buy, well, like that's like saying Sepulveda. You know, Sepulveda is like a 20-mile road. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, well, what's that, near Tahunga or what? Lancashire?
You start
What?
naming cities on Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, you like, I was trying to remember what CJ used to run into.
Right.
You know, yes. Oh my God, there were times I would just sound so stupid, and you can see I'm trying to figure it out. And you can see the person just looking like, you can stop at any moment with your local ass.
Yeah, like, man. And it's crazy because it's like, why didn't we just Google it beforehand?
I don't know, man. They would put me on the spot. Like, so where you from? L.A. I'm here from L.A. Yeah. Oh, really? What part? I live in L.A. You know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Hollywood,
Right.
North Hollywood, or normal Hollywood. You know.
I live off of Sunset Boulevard. You know where that's at? Yeah.
They're like, your ass don't live in L.A. because L.A.'s a big city. You can't just say. You can't just say Sunset. You can't just say Hollywood Boulevard. Like, which part? You know.
Yeah.
But moving forward, before we have to start wrapping it up, which we're close to, having such a good conversation. But I do want to talk about your last two projects.
Okay.
That you worked on. What's behind it, and when are they coming out, or where?
So the last two projects we worked on, one is Monogamish. That's basically a project of it's a woman who she is given a proposal by her husband to basically sleep with another man. Mm-hmm. Except, she does know that her husband hired this man to kind of set her up. So
I didn't know that part about the story.
Yeah. And so that one is coming out on Tubi. That's one of the ones that I do know. One of the streaming services I do know. I know. I believe we have Fox Soul. I believe we got Peacock, and Amazon. Always, we always have Amazon. And we actually just had a movie released today, The Christmas Spirit, which is a Christmas movie.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah. So I can only tell you we got Vizio. We got an exclusive with Vizio for 30 days, and Amazon. We got some TVOD with Amazon and Hoopla, and what was the other one? Vudu. Mm-hmm. Vudu picked it up. All the other streaming services have picked it up, but it's gonna be streaming at it starts December 1st, and we can't officially name all of the other ones because of whatever the distro doesn't want us to say that. And then Dope Boy Magic is our most recent one, and that one is kind of catching a lot of steam, man. We're going to be doing a host of premieres with that one. We're going to do one here in Lumberton, North Carolina. We're going to do one in New Jersey. We haven't actually chosen the city yet, and we're going to do one in St. Louis. And depending on how those three do, we're actually we'll actually plan more premieres around that movie. That one is a true story based around a man who he used to rob drug dealers, and so he basically he robbed the wrong drug dealer, and he has like 24 hours to get out of the city. And so so it's one of those type things. And so that one actually has turned out to be our most popular movie so far. Wow. Yeah, to date. And so we, like I said, we got other city tours. We actually have been hit up by other podcasters that want to interview us for the movie. The city of Whiteville actually came and did a news, report or whatever on the movie. I mean, it's been doing very, very, very well. It's starring in God Felly Fame. He is definitely an up and coming artist. He's doing a lot of movies and things like that. But his main stream is he's been on tour with like Ice Cube and all that stuff. And Jamal Woolard is in it, and Christopher Thomas and Tyrell Munn are among some of the other people that are starring in the movie.
Nice. So what do you? And those sound dope. Can't wait to see them. Make sure you guys check those out.
Yeah.
When it comes out, you get to see the man behind the magic. And so moving forward, like what can we expect from you as your career continues? Because you keep knocking out the movies. And the thing I love about those kind of movies, and like especially like the whole Tubi movement right now, is if you really know what you're doing, you have with Tubi a freedom that you don't get with networks and other platforms and stuff when you enter into a deal with them. You have a lot of oversight. You know, people got to sign off on if they like the direction you're going or who you're using or whatever. But with Tubi, it's kind of like you really are an artist painting your own painting the way you want it to be. And you have that opportunity to have way more freedom and way more profit participation, you know, than in many other situations. So, you know, if you make something really good and it takes off, then you can actually really see some real money, you know, in those situations. A lot of people are sleeping on it. And, you know, because I have to admit, I was one of them. It was my agent. Like we talked about this before. My agent, I was like, man, I'm not messing with that mess. And my agent was like, no. Get to know it first. Don't sleep on it. It's a hell of an opportunity. It's like a gold rush right now. Especially for black filmmakers, black independent filmmakers who don't have giant budgets. You can make some things happen, and you can still have like a real film release return on the money, you know. And so, you know, I started exploring that and getting into it and getting some people distributed, and you and I are talking about some things as well. And so I just wanted to put that out there for people listening. Is like, don't be fooled. And don't miss an opportunity if you're an indie filmmaker. I mean, this is unprecedented times and things happening, and Tubi's provided a platform. It's owned by Fox. And so Tubi not only has the backing of that major machine, but they also have high dollar advertisers that they already have in tow. And so you don't have to have the best movie in the world, but get it as good as you can possibly get it and how you want it to be. And if you do have access to nice sized budgets and you know what you're doing, you have a great team, great crew, access to great resources, you can really clean up in a way that hasn't been this available in damn near ever.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's been
damn near ever.
I think honestly, I think this is what Amazon attempted at the beginning, but you know, Amazon kind of slowly moved away from that. I mean, I don't know all the nuances of it, but you know, just kind of based on some older filmmakers that kind of told me about how Amazon structure was set up at the beginning. I think Amazon was attempting to do something like this, but Tubi is the one that actually came in and perfected it. And then Fox, you know, seen it and was like, hey, come here, give me this company, you know, and kind of gobbled up the company. But yeah, man, I mean, I really, really, really like the Tubi platform right now. And, you know, I would really love to see, you know, especially, you know, us and, you know, more black filmmakers bring really high quality projects to that platform and actually get an opportunity to, you know, express our film, show our film the way that we want to show them, and not, like you said, not have that hierarchy standing over us. I'm like, no, we don't want this. But, you know, I think that Tubi affords us that, you know, that that opportunity. And so as long as Tubi, you know, continues to operate in that, you know, faction, I think that, you know, we as filmmakers, you know, that's a great platform for us. Now, obviously, you know, we do want the Netflix and the HBO and the Stars and those platforms. But, you know, right now, when you are working in a smaller budget, I think that, you know, these opportunities, man, are unparalleled.
That and something I was complaining about for a long time was like, Hollywood, just quit remaking everything and quit. You know, what happened to original? Like, it's such a fight if you are writing original content that wasn't based on a book. Or it's like, if you just literally made it out of your mind and just created a dope story full of dope characters, it's really hard to get that done in Hollywood these days. And, you know, I was complaining about that for the last few years. Like, God, we're just getting into, they want guaranteed. That's the formula. They want guaranteed returns. So remaking stuff
Yep.
or taking books that already have a fan base or something that already has a built-in fan base to
Yeah.
make it easy, right?
Yeah.
And less money having to be spent on advertising. It's what it's all about, you know, what it boils down to. But with Tubi, it's allowed the opportunity for the originators, people, creatives who are just creating original ideas out of their mind to not be stalled by studios or other distributors and whatnot, but to actually create something original that's something dope out of their mind and actually see it, you know, get put out. Where I think they have 20 million subscribers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and growing.
And growing, yeah.
Yeah, like I remember a year ago, almost nobody in my circle knew about Tubi. And a year later, now everybody knows about Tubi.
Yeah.
You know, I get phone calls from friends, and it's like, oh man, like, you know, how are you getting on Tubi? Like, Tubi's a big deal. You know, but you know, like a year ago, people was like, what is that? You know, or even 2 years ago, people was like, what is Tubi? You know, I mean, 2.5 years ago, I was like that. Yeah. You know, but
I underestimated it.
Yeah, it definitely.
I didn't realize I went and when I finally really started checking Tubi out.
Yeah, I
was like, oh, there's like regular movies on here, like big name movies and others. Like, there's a lot of good shit. So you've got a bunch of great cool movies and big tentpole movies, but then you also can go, I want to see some raw, original, you know, stuff. Now there's some trash on there. Like he said, you don't need to put more effort. You know, if you want to make these films or you have the money to make these films, but you don't know what you're doing, just go hire somebody that knows what they're doing, or at least consult, pay someone and a professional and consult with them on how to properly do it. And let's raise the content on there like Mark is doing and several others are doing on there, bringing higher quality. And it's getting higher and higher and higher quality.
It can only be so many Rudy Ray Moores.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Like that's once in a lifetime, y'all. Like we all don't like that. Like we all like good quality. Everybody watches TV, so we all know what good quality is.
Right, exactly. So unfortunately, we have to go ahead and wrap it up. You already know how we do. Me and you would end up being here with a 4 or 5 hour podcast.
Right.
If you let us just go. And so, but I wanted the world to get to know you and get to know a little bit about your journey and some of the things you're working on and have done. And I think you're a phenomenal producer who's going to continue to rise and go on and do major, major things. I think you'll be a force in the industry, and you know, I can't wait to keep seeing the things that you put out.
That we gonna put out.
Yeah, and things that we put out as well. Yeah. So
y'all heard it.
No, and it's because I believe in this dude. Like, seriously, and I told him, I was like, dude, it's really even without remembering the run-ins we've had, you know, and everything else, you know, I just really saw what you were doing, and I was like, what they're doing, he's doing, he's working with the same resources, but he's doing a whole different thing here, you know, and I could see the aim. And then when we actually got together and had conversations and I heard where your mind was and what your path is and where you're trying to get to, and I was like, and the passion though.
Yes. Yeah.
The passion, because you can look at a person's eye and feel their vibe and you're like, oh, you're dead ass serious. Those people, I get down with those people all day long because people like yourself, myself, and others like that are relentless.
Yes.
And when you're dealing with relentless people, people, what I like to call in a relentless pursuit, there's nothing, you could throw every obstacle, they're going to find a way around it, find a way over it or through it, but they're going to get there. And those are the people I like to invest into and invest my time and experience and resource, whatever, to, you know, help see that move forward. And not, you know, and it's not, I'm not trying to act like I'm some saint. No, because I also know I'll benefit from it as well at some point. I know, you know, I'll have an ally, you know, and other allies that as long as they keep empowering, I'm big on empowering your folks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The great part about that is you are the type that looks at it and says, I have an ally, instead of the crab in the bucket that looks at it and says, I have competition. You know what I'm saying? That there's two different types of people in that aspect. And I run into so many that looks at, oh, your competition. You might be a little bit better. You might be doing this a little bit better. And instead of saying, hey, let's bring all of our resources together. Let's partner up. make this thing happen. Let's make this thing better. Most people turn away and are like, oh, nah, man, nah, I'm taking my resources and I'm keeping them over here and I'm a harbor them like a little chipmunk.
Yeah.
And you know, hopefully I'm going to hope that you don't make it any further than you're making it. So I commend you, man, you know, for doing that. Like that's not a, you know,
I have a full understanding that two flames are cool, but when they're together, it's a much bigger fire.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you can get way more out of working with allies. And if you see somebody like, you've got the potential or you're already on a path, if I help empower you even more, then you can get there faster.
Yeah.
And then, hell, you might be hiring me one day. Or sometimes, you know, it's a big thing. Sometimes the person you help up later on might be the ones that turn around and have to pull you up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
that's
if you
true.
skipped over them, you
That's
know,
true.
because you were too good at the time,
Yeah.
you know, you never know what situation you're going to be in. You never know how things are going to shape up or what's going to take off for who.
That's true.
You know, so I trust me, there's a lot of people I've put on and helped out or whatever that I can't even reach them anymore. But then there are people who I did that for, who if I call them, they're like, yeah, I'll come do your movie. I'll give you a discount.
Yeah.
Or let me see, I got something going on. You know, I might have a spot for you in this movie, or you know, or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, you know, hey, sometimes people aren't going to turn back around and do anything, but it's the ones who do, you'll be happy.
Yeah.
You did that. So I'm always thinking empowering. And now I don't look at it like, oh, you owe me something. Not you specifically, but in general. If I do something for somebody, that's why I have no ill feelings toward nobody. It's like, I didn't do that because I wanted you to give me something in return.
Yeah.
I did that because I thought you were dope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I could sit back and be like, I didn't make that person, but I was a little piece of that journey.
Yeah.
You know, that helped them along the way. And now look at them, man.
Now
They were everything I thought they were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
so
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know we gotta go, man. But real quick, man, I want to like kind of leave this story with everybody, man. So we all know who Greg Allen Williams is. You know, tremendous actor. And he told me this story when we were on set not too long ago. I think it was like 25, maybe 30 years ago. He was on set. He was doing a film. I'm not really sure. I can't remember what film it was, but there was a PA on set, and he said that everybody mistreated this PA, and everybody like talked down to this guy and everything. And he took him to the side and he gave him some encouraging words. And he was really nice to the PA. And he was like, because he could clearly see that the PA was ready to quit. Yeah. So fast forward 20 years later, which I'm going to say was about 10 years ago, the PA remembered that. The PA is now the president of Lionsgate.
Oh, shit.
Yes. And he actually, I don't know if you remember that series that came out, Necessary Roughness.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Greg Allen Williams was on that as a series regular. The PA texted him and was like, I remember you were the only person that was nice to me and that gave me those encouraging words, and I want to repay you. And he was like, because I would have quit if it wasn't for you, and gave him a series regular role on Necessary Roughness. And I'll never forget that story, man. As long as I live, I will never forget that story. And I was like, that is probably the most powerful thing that I've ever seen, And so, like, what you're doing, man, even though you have the people who are not reaching back, is powerful. Yeah. Because that one real ally that you create, which is probably gonna be me, I never forget. And and we will grow together. You know what I'm saying? It will become something huge, and I believe that, and I know that, and it's going to happen.
A relentless pursuit.
Yeah, man.
So, Marquand Ragland, thank you for being with us here on Real Talk with Dominic Santana. And we thank you guys for sitting with us and listening to us. Hope you got some really good jewels and gems and wisdom out of it. Had a couple of laughs with us and enjoy. Run it back if you didn't catch everything. Take notes, listen. Until next time, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube or anywhere else. And also, if you're listening by podcast, make sure you subscribe to us. Make sure you keep updated and you keep following. And follow us on social media, Real Talk with Dominic Santana. And we really love and appreciate you guys, man.
Oh, yeah.
So until next time, we bid you adieu. Your presence required is
zombie land. So welcome to zombie land. These zombies is always a part of their grave. Walking around, fronting and stunting redundant, but looking real lame. Nobody believing you, people deceiving you, leading you on with this nonsense. Hate me to dime off your dreaming, you already dead and it's only your conscience.